It's YouTube Wednesday.
Okay, so this is obviously a hanging cage out of a 55-gallon drum, and someone actually asked me to do this. They wanted to do the hanging cages for Hocus Pocus. So if you can see that I'm using duct tape there because it's silver and it shows up on the barrel. The masking tape I had was blue, and that would not have worked well. So I start by making the two crosses up top, and then I hang those over the edges just a bit to make sure I can grab onto them and go straight down to the other side. And you see me do that here pretty much. And yeah, we're just getting the barrel all taped up. And this is what is our measuring basically. It goes around the edges and it goes up and down, and then we'll worry about cutting them. First thing that you have to do is drill it out. And I showed you there that I'm using a stepper bit. And that's just to get a jigsaw in. And once that jigsaw is in there, once that hole is drilled, then you can get the jigsaw in. I like to drill out all four corners. It just makes it easier. Always use proper safety when you are using a saw or whatever. Just be careful. Everywhere you see blue, I have to cut out. Now, of course, this is sped up, but this whole project only took me about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. That's from start to finish. So, and that was including drying time on all of the paint. I'm actually using a fast wood blade for this. You might get a smoother cut if you use a smooth cutting wood blade for your jigsaw. Speed is of the essence to me with a project this big, and I knew I was going to rust it up, so I didn't mind that roughness.
So I have made two decisions. In the original prop, everything is bars. The bottom is bars, the sides are bars, the top is bars. My decision is I'm going to leave the bottom as a solid and just put hay down here over it. There's two spouts down here at the bottom, and if I used them for the top, they would kind of get in the way. So I don't mind this for the bottom. You could always cut that out and just make sure when you do your lines you're not over top of these two holes. It's certainly possible. But I don't mind a flat bottom. I'm not going to hang these high enough up where you're going to look up in through them. That means that this is going to be the top. And what that means, I have to cut out all of these wedges.
The fun stuff is definitely the paint. Cutting this out was kind of a bear. However, I can guarantee you that I'll be making a lot more of these, probably for my Monster Museum, if not for Dark Hour, because they're pretty handy, they look good, and they're just great for hanging skeletons around.
All the tape is off, and now I can do away with this top ring, which we kind of just use for structural integrity, but I'm actually very happy with the structural integrity. This is the most I have cut up a 55-gallon drum. It's still a thing. Like, it's not, I was worried it might be a little loose or wobbly. I'm going to get rid of this top ring, and then we form these into the top of the cage. So let me just zap this ring off, and then we'll be good. Okay, I'm just going to use the heat gun here to straighten these out. A torch would be a little faster, but heat guns are good.
Heat gunning the barrel to shape it is something I've done quite a bit before. I've used that plastic for a lot of things, and it does heat gun pretty well. You can see me move to a spray bottle of water eventually, where I cool it down after I have warmed it up, and that's very helpful.
So my plan is to try to match this right here. So this is one of the cages from Hocus Pocus, and you can see it's big around, but it's pretty squat. So I'm going to take those long ones and bend them into an arc that matches this, which is pretty much a semicircle, and then drill through and secure. In order to help line it up, I'm going to use the eye bolt that I purchased in order to hold it all together. This is also how the cage will hang. Note you'll also see some washers and a nut on there, 2 nuts, and that's how this is all going to hold together. 3/8 inch by 5.5 inch eye bolt with nut. There you go.
I did get the eye bolt from Home Depot, and it was right about $5.
This is the last one. You'll be able to see how I'm folding it over to make sure I have the right angle and curve of that spoke. And once I like it, I can let that go and drill here. Now we're all drilled through. I'm just going to feed my bolt through right now upside down. All right, so that's on there.
Do have a wrench or ratchet on hand because this has some torque.
Just get it hand tight for now. All of these shifting pieces, I just want to tighten that bolt down. And I'm looking for the air to go out of this. Like, I don't want to see any air in between all of these layers. It's a lot of beef up here, but I want to keep it as orderly as possible. In order to help squeeze this down, I'm going to go ahead and heat up this whole joint so that this plastic's a little more malleable. And all those little kinks right there are going to help flatten out.
Yep, it's a heat gun. It's getting hot. I'm just shooting it to warm that up so it'll compress with the nut and
That's
washer.
about as compact as I could get that. Each one of these is about 1/3 of an inch thick. So having 8 of them together, you are going to have some mass up here. I used the heat and that got it sandwiched pretty darn tight. Now I'm confident that I can cut off all these excess pieces in order to just make this a nice clean package, because it looks beefier than it is because of all the excess that's hanging off. I'm also going to number these in order of height. So I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll number them so I know which one goes on where, because these lengths are all a little bit different in order for them to stack up and be that nice, even, semicircular shape. All right, so let me get on that next.
I think numbering these was actually very helpful in putting it back together. Just looking at the order and the layers, I ordered them from top to bottom, but I actually put them on the other way. And then I also marked where to cut all these ends off.
Okay, here we have our hanging cage. This is assembled but not painted. And let's get it painted. To start this paint job, I'm going to cover this whole outside in spray adhesive. I'm not really that worried about the inside because not a lot is going to touch or brush up against it. But the inside, the outside, as I store it or move it around or whatever, it might get a little banged up. So I'm going to do all the outside with spray adhesive. This is a great chance for me to use up some half-empty cans. I'm going to go ahead and put it on thick too because I want the texture. Okay, I'm going to end up rusting this, so I'm putting this on pretty heavy. Okay, I'm going to spray the inside with a flat red primer, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it just like this. Here we go. So next up, it's time for Googly Eyes, which make great rivets that just stick on. And it's covered in spray adhesive. These should stick just fine. And I bought assorted packs, and I'm using the biggest one in the pack. Let's see. Oh, that's 10 times better.
Hopefully I'll get back to the subtitles next week. Just been pressed for time.
I think it's worth it. I'll put one down at the bottom of each bar also. All right, before I go any further, I'm gonna let all that spray adhesive dry. I have a bright orange and a warm caramel color that I'm gonna hit this with first because the overall paint job that I want is this nice rusty paint job. All right, that's what I want this to look like. Oh, it's like now it's in 3D. Oh, yeah. So that's what I want. And I don't have a lot of this warm caramel. I'm not super worried about getting this over all of the blue. I can go back and spot fix the blue later, you know? I'm just not worried about that. And this orange is, of course, it's just way too bright. But we're starting there.
I almost always start my rusting with a real bright color like this, because you can keep knocking it down, but it's hard to make it exciting if it's not.
Okay, that's enough orange for now. Now let's go ahead and hit some of this browno, which again, I have very little of this left, so I'll be switching colors momentarily. And this brown is just knocking back some of that orange. Now, we have to let that dry.
So here I'm just using a little card in order to mark where the bar ends. And I do that with this nice dark brown color, and it works pretty well. It's certainly worth doing, and it adds to the realism of it, and it makes it look like these are many pieces put together as opposed to pieces cut out from a barrel. Both the rivets and this technique of layering does it. Okay, I'm about to darken the bottom here with, again, some of that. It's brown camouflage color spray paint, and I use it quite a bit. I just really like the color. It's a nice dark brown that is a good substitute for black when black is going to be too harsh. And I'm just kind of squiggling up the bottom of the cage so that it's a little more camouflaged and blends in and doesn't look like a big orange disc.
Now I'm just going to darken that up with this same color and just mist it down a little bit.
I I had no idea I had paint all over my face. Eh.
I'm going to do that same little illusion that I did of making the shadow on each side of the bar. I'm going to do that on the inside, but I'm not going to bother using a card. I'm just going to do it real quick with the spray paint. It'll not be as effective because that one side won't be as clean, but it'll help. So now the inside, it has a more 3D effect as it moves around. And I'm going to hit it one more time with some glossy wood tone. Glossy wood tone is just it's just one of my favorite colors. It does some really fun stuff. And it's a translucent paint. So it's not like it's going to go on super heavy. It's just adding some tone to this and bringing it down to a, you know, knocking a little bit more of that orange. We're whittling that orange away.
This is where I say, subscribe to my channel, please.
Calling that painted. I don't have a plastic skeleton on me right now, but this is the finished cage. I think it turned out pretty good for being a 55-gallon drum a couple hours ago. I just threw some jute mesh fabric down in the bottom of it just to make it look a little lived in. Would be great for skeletons. Again, it's a $5 eye bolt and a you know, as low as $5 or $10 55-gallon drum. And I have it hanging here by the eye bolt. It's great for plastic skeletons to put in there. In all honesty, I think with a heavier duty eye bolt, that one's only rated to about 330 pounds, but a heavier duty eye bolt, I think this could hold a kid in it. So you can reenact that movie as much as you like, I think. And I did not put a door on it, again, because of structural integrity, but this is big enough to get a plastic skeleton through these openings. So you'll be able to get a plastic skeleton through and get it set up. I don't think anyone's going to call you on not having a door. If you really want a door, then what I would do is I would just cut out one of these and build a door out of a little panel of the same stuff and put it right there, and use zip ties as your hinge. Drill through, and then put a little latch right there. So that's how I would put it on there. But anyway, that is a Hocus Pocus cage. Let's see how we did. I think we did all right. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And go make stuff!
Thank you guys for watching the video, and subscribe, comment, like, go make stuff.